The fall of a king, his name commanded respect in the halls of power. His wealth overflowed, and his word shaped the fate of those who knelt before him. He was untouchable. He had built his empire from the ground up, not with blood, but with cunning, his tongue a blade sharper than any sword. His mind a maze none could outwit. Gold filled his coffers. Land stretched under his rule, and the world, it seemed, had surrendered to his ambition. But power is a fickle lover, and greed, once awakened, is never satisfied, a hunger that couldn't be filled at first. His corruption was subtle, a bribe taken in the shadows, a favor granted for a price. Then it grew. What was once a gift of opportunity became a demand for obedience. He saw men as pawns, lives as currency, and loyalty as something to be bought, not earned. He betrayed friends for profit. He silenced voices that dared to question him. He crushed those who stood in his way. With every piece of gold he hoarded, his soul withered. His people began to whisper. They called him selfish. They called him corrupt. They called him cursed. He laughed. What could they do? He was untouchable until the day came when he wasn't. The reckoning it started with a whisper in the court, a rumor, a flicker of doubt in the eyes of his once loyal men. The powerful grow lonely when their power begins to crack. His closest advisor, the one he had trusted most, turned against him. The very hands that helped him rise now sought his fall. The people, the same ones who once cheered his name, now spat it like poison. The walls of his empire trembled. The gold he had once hoarded became worthless. The allies he had bought abandoned him. The kingdom, the very foundation of his power, collapsed beneath his feet. One by one, his luxuries were stripped away. His palace doors were thrown open to ruin. His wealth was seized by those he had wronged. His enemies rejoiced. His name was erased. And then there was nothing. From king to beggar, for the first time, Darius walked the streets not as a ruler, but as a man no one remembered. The people who once bowed now turned their backs. The hands that once reached for his favor now shoved him aside. The roads he had paved with his riches now swallowed him in dust. His robes, once woven in gold, hung in tatters. His body, once strong, had ground frail. His voice, once a roar in the halls of power, had become a whisper among beggars. The hunger he had fed for wealth now devoured him in the form of emptiness. One night, as he lay beneath the ruins of a broken bridge, the rain pounding against his hollow chest, he finally understood. The greatest tragedy is not losing everything, it is realizing you were the reason for your own downfall. And as the dawn broke over the city that no longer belonged to him, Darius took his last breath, not as a king, not as a ruler, but as a man who had traded his soul for a throne made of dust. Once he had everything. Darius was once a man admired, feared, and envied. Moral lesson: your actions today shape your tomorrow. Every decision Darius made, betrayal, oppression, selfishness, paved the way for his own downfall. This teaches us that what we sow today, we will reap in the future. Power, wealth, and influence will fade, but a good name, built on honor and kindness, will be remembered forever.